Hey everyone! Welcome to my channel B&B Glow. A wedding in Italy is halted by tragedy. To save Brooke, Ridge dashes from the altar. Unimaginable giving up. The dream wedding of Ridge Forrester and Taylor Hayes, who were finally set to tie the knot after years of heartbreak and detours, was supposed to take place against the breathtaking cliffs of Portofino, Italy. The air was heavy with expectation as the sun shone brightly over the exquisite wedding, with guests dressed to the nines. As the officiant got ready to declare them husband and wife, Taylor, looking stunning in her flowing white gown, stepped at the altar and fixed her gaze on Ridge. However, fate had other ideas, as it frequently does in the lives of these star-crossed lovers. Ridge was ready to make his vows when the calm atmosphere was broken by a loud explosion. Screams rang out, and chaos broke out. Brooke Logan, the woman who had been his greatest love and his greatest source of agony, was in peril. Ridge's head instantly jerked in the direction of the sound, his heart racing with an uncontrollable fear. The explosion had originated near Brooke's villa, where she had been residing while attempting, and failing, to avoid the wedding that had destroyed her. He felt a rush of adrenaline at the prospect of her being harmed, even killed. Before his intellect could comprehend the ramifications, his body moved. He whispered, more to himself than to Taylor, "I have to go," and then he ran off of the altar, leaving a distraught bride and a bewildered audience in his wake. As Taylor watched the guy she loved go towards another woman, again, her hands shook and her face crumpled in disbelief. Brooke's villa was a site of destruction, with smoke rising from the ruins and flames licking at the broken windows. Ridge pushed past panicked bystanders and emergency personnel while screaming her name in a hoarse voice. He was unable to lose her. Not in this manner. Considering how much had been omitted. His worst nightmares came true as he staggered through the rubble. Brooke was pinned beneath a falling beam, unconscious, and breathing shallowly. As he pulled her into his arms, he ignored the burning pain in his own body and lifted the heavy rubble with strength derived from desperation. His voice broke as he pleaded, "Hold on, Brooke. Please wait." He had taken an irrevocable decision. In addition to calling off his wedding, Ridge had broken Taylor's heart in the most obvious way by rushing to Brooke. Some of the visitors were appalled by the scandal that was playing out in front of them, while others were sympathetic. Taylor felt humiliation and betrayal slam into her as she stood by herself at the altar. She had really thought that Ridge would pick her this time. That the never-ending loop of Brooke's draw on him would eventually be broken by their love. However, Ridge had demonstrated that Brooke would always come first, regardless of how strongly he felt for Taylor, when it counted most. Ridge felt the weight of his choice as he held Brooke in his arms while he waited for assistance to come. For a woman whose grip on him defied logic, he had given up everything, his promise, his dignity, and his future with Taylor. Was this affection? Or was it a curse he couldn't overcome, an obsession? What now would this signify for each of them? The consequences would be disastrous. He would never be forgiven by Taylor. If she lived, Brooke would be consumed by guilt. What about Ridge? He would have to deal with the fallout from his unimaginable decision. A single, strongly implied question hung in the air as the smoke cleared over Portofino. Was Brooke's life actually in jeopardy, or had this catastrophe been staged to prevent the wedding? The explosion was too well-timed and too neatly located to be an accident. It had been someone's goal to make sure Ridge never wed Taylor. However, who? To keep them apart, how far would they go? The families of Hayes, Logan, and Forrester were devastated as the Italian authorities started their inquiry. Alliances changed, secrets boiled beneath the surface, and the conflict for Ridge's affections entered its most destructive phase to date. Because love was never simply love in the world of these fervent, wounded souls, it was battle. And there would be more casualties than ever before. Not only did the Italian tragedy call off a wedding, but it also sparked a tempest that would alter everything. Ridge was certain that there was no turning back as he sat next to Brooke's hospital bed, holding her frail hand. In a hastily planned wedding in Italy, Ridge's bridal swaps Taylor for Brooke. According to previews for The Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge Forrester is preparing Taylor Hayes for a major collapse. To be fair, Taylor's unusual marriage proposal is making her look incredibly desperate and ignoring warning signs. Nevertheless, Ridge is somewhat to blame for making so many lofty commitments that he will be unable to fulfill. Ridge had promised to wed Taylor in order to make up for all the time they have missed together, but their happy ending as a couple will not come to pass. Although Ridge consented to marry Taylor and put the ring on her finger, it's unlikely that they will exchange vows and really make it legal. Ridge has a much higher chance of getting married to Brooke Logan instead, given the direction this plot is taking. According to B&B teasers, Ridge plans to go after Brooke in Italy before the end of July, where he will face Nick Marone. At some time, Nick will present Brooke with an engagement ring, which may encourage Ridge to propose to her. It's simple to picture Ridge pressuring Brooke to marry him rather than Nick. Ridge might switch brides and ask Brooke to marry him once his engagement to Taylor fails. This time, B&B might want to do something straightforward for Brooke and Ridge, who have, in all honesty, experienced enough weddings for a lifetime. Ridge and Brooke may want to have a more private ceremony rather than a grandiose one. The two of them plus an officiant may have a private ceremony for Brooke and Ridge. However, Ridge and Brooke might make the announcement later and take their vows alone. In any event, Taylor's sudden insistence on marrying Ridge must have a purpose. Depending on how everything works out, it might open the door for a bridal swap and Ridge and Brooke's hurried Italy wedding. According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Ridge will eventually provide some wedding-related updates, so tune in. Ridge Forrester is overcome with jealousy. Now that Ridge Forrester has accepted Taylor Hayes' proposal and the two are formally engaged, all eyes are on him on The Bold and the Beautiful. Ridge Forrester wearing a ring and going to the altar to say "I do" are two completely different things, though. Before Ridge and Taylor's big wedding day, will his jealousy get the better of him? Read on to find out. Here are some spoilers for what will happen next on Bold and Beautiful. Brooke is not yet over Ridge. Taylor Hayes believes she has defeated Brooke Logan and that her fight is done. She is unaware, however, that she has yet to secure her ex-husband. The return of Nick Marone might seriously disrupt Taylor's wedding arrangements. Spoilers for Bold and Beautiful indicate that Taylor will be excited to decide on a wedding date and organize the lavish ceremony. She will begin to see that her husband is somewhat distracted and more anxious about his half-brother having an affair with his ex-wife than he is about choosing a location and creating a wedding gown. For what length of time will Taylor continue to believe that she is engaged to Ridge? Everyone else in the family will be able to tell that Ridge Forrester is being slow and envious of Brooke and the captain. According to B&B previews, Ridge is only going to become cold-hearted as Brooke pushes her new romance in his face. Does Taylor call off her wedding? Does Taylor really want to marry someone who is still in love with another woman, even if she is successful in getting Ridge to say "I do" this summer? Is Ridge on his way to the Heartbreak Hotel, or will he be able to conceal his jealousy from Taylor? To what extent will Brooke go in order to prevent Ridge's wedding? According to teasers for The Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke Logan will be devastated to find out that Ridge Forrester and Taylor Hayes are engaged. He hasn't yet said "I do," though. Is Brooke still able to call off the wedding and win her man back? Read on to find out. Below are spoilers for what will happen on B&B next week. At the restaurant, Nick Marone heard Ridge Forrester's response to Taylor's extremely awkward proposal. According to B&B teasers, the captain rushed to spill the tea with Brooke Logan because he was so excited. However, Nick Marone wasn't prepared for her response. A bridge drama involves Nick Marone. Brooke believes she still has time to win Ridge back before they are married, instead of embracing the truth that he is getting married to Taylor. This explains why the Logan women on Bold and the Beautiful struggle to make friends. 4 months, rumors and spoilers have suggested that Nick Marone will hook up with his ex-wife Brooke Logan when he returns to Los Angeles. What if their relationship isn't real, though? Before Ridge makes the grave error of marrying his other ex-wife, Brooke is trying desperately to get him to come back. Hooking up with his half-brother is the perfect method to attract Ridge's attention and arouse his jealousy. Taylor may decide to call off the wedding since she is sick of Ridge's obsession with his ex, even if he decides not to call it quits because he still loves Brooke. Brooke's creativity. For decades, Brooke and Taylor have been at odds over Ridge, but since they are both grandmothers now, they are unable to use pregnancy tests to gain the Forrester heir. They must now exercise a little more imagination. Spoilers for The Bold and the Beautiful. Ridge still has that something. One thing never changes in the constantly changing drama of The Bold and the Beautiful. Ridge Forrester still exudes that alluring, indisputable, and frequently irate it factor. Whether portrayed by Ron Moss or Torsten Kay, Ridge has captivated viewers with a blend of power, passion, and confusing choices for decades despite love triangles, boardroom betrayals, runway catastrophes, family implosions, and numerous actor changes. Ridge is a storm, not just a man. And like any storm, he shows up rather than just walking into a place. Ridge commands attention whether he's opposing a rival, vehemently defending his decisions, saying sweet nothings to a Logan or a Hayes, or just standing quietly and letting his look speak for itself. That's what his it factor is all about. In the larger context of the program, however, what does that signify, and why does he continue to be at the core of every significant plot point in spite of all his shortcomings, blunders, betrayals, and contradictions? Why do women continue to compete for his affections? Why does everything he does affect so many people in Los Angeles? The solution is deeply ingrained in the character's heritage and DNA. Born into a family of fashion aristocracy, Ridge Forrester was the son of Eric Forrester and, until the truth was revealed, was thought to be Stephanie's kid. Ridge, who was raised with a sense of entitlement and prepared to inherit Forrester creations, carried himself with assurance. He was intimidating to many men and enticing to many women because of his confidence, which some may describe as arrogance. His presence is what gives him swagger, not just his looks. Ridge believes he already has a seat at the table and doesn't ask for one. And he's usually not mistaken. Ridge inherently becomes the center of attention, whether he is leading a fashion empire or a romantic triangle. In addition to his success and good looks, he has captivated women like Brooke, Taylor, Caroline, and even Quinn because of his emotional power, something broken yet passionate, vulnerable yet obstinate. He is compelling because of that tension. According to spoilers, Ridge's it factor becomes more crucial than ever as the bold and the beautiful embarks on a new chapter of love and professional turmoil. Though many fans are quick to point out that this triangle never really ends, Ridge has been caught between Brooke and Taylor once more in recent weeks. Simply put, it goes dormant until one or both ladies recall how profoundly Ridge impacted them. The force of Ridge's it factor rests in the fact that, despite Brooke's several marriages and Taylor's admirable attempts at independence, Ridge continues to be the common wound in both women's hearts, the never-ending what if. He transcends beyond being a man to become a symbol. He is Brooke's one true love, her destiny that neither Bill Spencer nor Nick Marone can change. For Taylor, he represents the family that nearly existed and the house she was robbed of. Ridge serves as the audience's obstinate reminder that not all decisions are clear-cut and simple. Love can sometimes be more about who you can't let go of than it is about what makes sense. However, romance isn't the only thing that makes Ridge appealing. Ridge is one of the most influential people in the business sector at Forrester Creations. His name is respected, his fashion sense is keen, and his sketches are legendary. According to spoilers, Forrester Creations is about to undergo significant upheavals, and Ridge is once again at the center of it. Ridge manages to maintain his position as the most powerful man in the room, regardless of his conflicts with Dollar Bill Spencer, Thomas, or his father Eric. It doesn't last long, even when he loses control. He comes back stronger than ever. Additionally, spectators observe that regardless of how intense the rivalry is, whether it's Zenday's budding brilliance, Thomas's tormented genius, or even RJ's novel viewpoint, Ridge's position at the top never feels in danger. He has created a legacy that endures beyond controversies and errors. Only a few soap characters ever attain that kind of power in and of themselves. The generational factor comes next. Ridge is a future patriarch in addition to being a man and a designer. Ridge is the obvious heir, both in terms of business and family, as Eric's health deteriorates and Forrester Creations' future becomes increasingly questionable. Another aspect of his it factor is his complex connections with his kids, Thomas, Steffi, and RJ. He is a fatherly protector. His motives are based on love and commitment, even though he frequently makes mistakes, especially with Thomas. Even if it means creating enemies, he wants to keep his family safe. And spoiler alert, the Forrester legacy may soon be the subject of fresh internal and external attacks, putting that protective instinct to the test once more. Ridge's protective instincts will take over, and the heroic fire that viewers love will rekindle, whether it's Steffi getting sucked into danger, Thomas making another ethically dubious choice, or Brooke being seduced by a competitor. Ridge's vulnerability is another often overlooked component of his it factor. Although Ridge exudes confidence and dominance, beneath the ostentatiousness and fine outfits lies a guy who breaks, questions, and bleeds. After learning about Brooke and Bill, he had a breakdown. When his daughter Phoebe passed away, he was devastated. Thomas's spirals caused him to feel guilty. His mental anguish in the last days of his mother's life. Ridge has strong feelings, frequently to his own cost. He is not emotionally numb. He stands out from other alpha males on soap operas because of that level of emotional depth. He has no qualms about crying, becoming angry, or losing it. Even if people don't always like Ridge, they can relate to him because of his unvarnished and genuine honesty. He's a mess, but that's just the mess of a person. And that kind of relatability is invaluable in the glitzy, high-stakes world of the bold and the beautiful. However, there is some disagreement around his it factor. It actually flourishes on it. Critics claim that Ridge is frequently too quickly pardoned. The back and forth between Brooke and Taylor is characterized as romantic conflict rather than emotional manipulation. His wrongs are ignored, and his betrayals are justified. Some observers feel that he manipulates hearts without ever making a real decision. He is perceived by others as unreliable, domineering, and self-centered. The problem is that a character's imperfections are what give them their legendary status. Ridge's inconsistencies spark discussions. They divide viewers. They spark heated arguments. Storytelling dynamite, that is. Not to mention his special rapport with almost everyone he appears on television with. Ridge generates energy whether it's through tense brotherhood with Thorne or Nick, romantic fire with Brooke or Taylor, or even grudging admiration with adversaries like Bill Spencer. His silent processing of betrayal or desire, his smirk, and his stare all operate without him having to say a word. It goes beyond simply writing. Character design and performance come together there. Ridge has the it factor in that situation. More issues are hinted at in the spoilers to follow, particularly as Ridge is once again compelled to consider his true feelings and secrets threaten to destroy partnerships. Will he decide to follow Taylor's heritage, find solace with Brooke, or choose a whole different route? When a new competitor emerges, will he strengthen his hold on Forrester or will he back off and let the next generation take the lead? Whatever happens, one thing is certain, Ridge Forrester isn't leaving. And his shadow will remain even if he does. For better or worse, everyone and everything seems to revolve around Ridge. In addition to being Ridge, he is the it factor in the bold and the beautiful since he personifies all of the show's values, including glitz, mayhem, passion, treachery, redemption, and legacy. Every time Ridge waffles between Brooke and Taylor, you feel something, whether you love him, loathe him, or want to shout at your screen. That's how it's defined. And for that reason, imperfect, alluring, and iconic, Ridge Forrester continues to rule after decades.